So Cal, how did you fall into this whole thing?
Well, it was probably how a lot of the earlier people fell into this whole thing. It was way back in early February 2011. Ponies started popping up on a large variety of forums all across the internet. One of the forums that I happened to frequent at the time happened to have a thread on Pony at the time, and it just blew me away because I was like, My Little Pony, the stuff I saw when I was like 10 or something like that, those, pastel colored ponies. And I was like, I'll just go away. It must have been just some kind of, fluke thing. But once it stayed up on the forum for weeks and weeks and weeks, I finally decided to check it out towards the end of February, and watched my first PMV, and fell in love with the animation instantly, and I was really intrigued to check out more of it. So I watched the first 2 episodes, fell in love with it, watched the rest of them, and my first real episode was Stairmaster back in season 1. And the rest is history.
So Alpha, how did you fall into the pony trap?
Well, I have an excuse for watching ponies. I have a daughter who loves ponies and love ponies. We potty trained her on the promise of ponies. So it's like ponies have been in our lives for a while. And I was always a fan of also Lauren Faust as well too, and all her stuff that she's done, Powerpuff Girls, Foster Home for Imaginary Friends. And so one day my daughter was like watching the new version, or like she was skimming through like the was it My Little Brony, the I Can Ask Cheeseburger site.
Oh
thread.
yeah.
Look at that stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, Pony's coming back. And she's like, yeah, it's called Friendship is Magic. And I was like, you're serious? That is the lamest name of something I've ever heard. That cannot be real. And she's like, no, people like it. And there's guys who like it, and they're called bronies. And I'm like, that is not real either, honey. The internet lies to you. And so I just had to sit down and start looking at some of these and seeing some of the stuff. And I thought it was all just, how everything on the internet is like cynicism and loathing and making fun of it, because that's what the internet is. But I saw the more I got into it, the more I saw that the jokes being made, they were too in-depth to be seen from the outside. They're definitely inside jokes that, okay, someone knows what's going on. So I decided to watch an episode, and then 2, and then 3, and then here I am now. So
You fell for the common trap.
yeah, the story that pretty much everyone has. I saw one episode, said that was all right. Saw the second episode, that was better. Marathoned it, and now I'm a brony, which seems to be the going rate, right?
Exactly.
I just can say it all happened exactly the same, just much later. So, Cal, you write the thing that everybody reads every day, Nightly Roundup. What number are we up to right now?
It should be somewhere around 992, issue 992 of that, and it's actually next week, Friday, on Friday the 13th, will be number 1000. So that's going to be an interesting time. We're going to see if we
Where's
can
your life going, right?
I know, right? It's like, it started off with, Seth used to do them, and then PK used to do them, and then PK didn't want to do them, so he gave them to me, and then eventually I took them all from PK because he didn't want to do them anymore, and then I got stuck just doing them all. But they're a lot of fun. It's a great way to interact with the community, a great way to meet people in our comments and stuff, and meet any of you that do visit Equestria daily. I'm usually in the comments, and you see my little blue title and stuff like that, and I like to comment and whatnot. So.
Do you actually read the comments? The
I know.
cardinal rule of the internet?
I actually do read the comments. I probably shouldn't sometimes, but I do typically enjoy our commenter base. They can be a little crazy sometimes, but they're certainly a lot better than if you ever go to someplace like CNN, where there ends up being a political fight on the third comment on an article about pie. So it's definitely a lot of fun, and roundups are one of the best parts of the day, basically.
Well, I know I look forward to it every day. Alpha,
Yo!
Brony time. I've had the pleasure of being on your show, and It was so well set up. You've got this great little routine and role how it's done. There's a form and a structure. It's really well put together. Did you see this coming?
Sorta. When I started getting into the show, I live in a podunk town nowhere in Pennsylvania, and I'm also a transplant, so I don't know anyone even in the state. So I was sort of like, I was looking for a way to connect with people, so I was looking at stuff like the EQD chat rooms, things like that, and saw like podcasts. I saw the Bronyville podcast in the first one, and then in Def Mix podcast, another one I saw too, and I figured like that's a good way to sort of interact. And so I figured, you know what, I have stuff to say. I like to talk a lot, as I'm sure you guys have noticed by being on my show.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah, so I'm loud enough. So I was like, I can do that too. I can do that on the interwebs. And that's kind of how it came down. It was, I actually didn't know 5-Iron beforehand either. I had started Twitter and I just picked the name Alpha Brony because it's sort of like a joke on myself because I came in so late. I came in mid-season 2 into the fandom. So, and so I was like, I'm the Alpha Brony. I'm the first, it's a dumb joke that just stuck that only I got. So, and then 5-Iron was the first person to ever follow me back on Twitter. He was my first follower. And then it turned out he had a family, he had similar lives or situations. And so when I decided to do the podcast, I hit him up like, hey, I was thinking about doing this. Do you want to be my co-host? And he's like, yeah, I'll do that. So what'd you have in mind? And then I laid out the idea of the show pretty much as it is. It's been that way from the beginning, the format. So we really haven't changed the format much because it's worked so well for us. Yeah.
Cal, tell me about your inbox.
Oh, the inbox?
I can't even, I just know that anytime that we had something Big Apple Ponycon, or even just something that I thought I had found and I was the first time, okay, Calpain at equestriadaily.com, submit at equestriadaily.com, and you just copy both of them and off it goes, and somehow it gets whooshed through the process and it's in the internet in a couple hours. How?
It's quite a process. We're at the moment, for some reason, at the moment, it's like Seth and I that are usually doing a lot of the posts that are on the site. And Seth usually handles things. For some reason, he now likes to stay up all night. I don't know why. I keep telling him to stop doing that. But he does it anyway. And so he watches it at night and sorts everything and schedules things. And while he's sleeping, yes, he does sleep. He does sleep. This is a thing. I usually watch it during the day. And it usually, sometimes when I wake up, and if Seth hasn't, sorted before going to bed, or it's been a while since he's sorted, I'm grieved with like 60 emails there. And then throughout the day, we'll get, multitudes more of that. So we expect hundreds of emails a day of varying qualities of the stuff, repeats of things. People have sent in things that are even very obviously time-stamped to be 2 years old. And they think it's brand new news and stuff. So you got to do all this kind of sorting and everything like that.
How much junk do you go through?
There's a lot of stuff. I wouldn't call it junk. It's just that sometimes there's things in there that are too old, or we can't really put it up, or that kind of stuff. Everyone, no matter what the quality is, everyone at least tries, and that's how I like to see it. Mm-hmm. And they're enthusiastic and they like to send us stuff in, and I like to see that level of enthusiasm. And I encourage everyone to send in what they can, and also don't ever get discouraged if we don't reply, because we get so many emails. It's really hard to even type anything coherent other than it's filed or not.
To the queue.
To the queue.
To make sure, if you get an email that says filed, that's me. If it's to the queue, it's Seth.
Oh, nice to know.
I did the Derpy muffins like years ago.
Oh yeah.
It was like paper muffins on muffins that we sent in, or was it paper Derpies on real muffins? We sent it. I was like, why not send to EQD, and then it got posted. So.
Yeah, you never know what will get posted.
Yeah.
If it tickles one of our fancies, we'll be like, oh yeah, let's put that there.
It's an army of Derpy muffins knows.
So Alpha, you said that the formats worked for you.
Yes.
How long have you been on the air?
Actually tonight, 5-Iron's in charge, so we'll see how that goes. But we're recording the 76th episode. We've been doing this like over 2 years now, I think. Probably, yeah, because 2012, I think is when we started. So yeah, somewhere around that. So yeah, like I said, the format's pretty much stayed the same. We got the idea from it just because, like, I listen to a couple podcasts, but I also don't like podcasts too much, which is funny. I don't listen to a lot. I have my few that I listen to, and I sort of, when I decided to do this, I picked out the things I liked and didn't like. And I also remember reading this article, I think it was probably on CNET or something, about what makes a good podcast or what makes podcasts fail. And so I tried to make sure to not do those things or find stuff I liked about other shows to do in mine. And the one thing I thought I didn't want to do was just have discussions nonstop without any sort of editing or cleaned up. And so, because I think my favorite podcast I listen to is the Freakonomics podcast.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. If anyone else listens to that, I highly recommend it. But they do a lot of edited music and stuff like that. And I like the way, because it's presented like a TV show, or has that same format where they have introductions, music breaks, and things like that. And that's sort of where I got the idea for our show, too. I had that idea, and so when Five Iron says, okay, what do you want to do? I laid it out and said, this is what I was thinking. And he's like, okay, that works for me then. So we just sort of went with it. So, yay.
I mean, Big Apple, you gave us one of the quotes that describes our convention, which is Big Apple Ponycon, classing up the convention scene.
Yeah.
And
Look at this place, dude. It's like,
I know, right?
Yeah.
you come in like, oh yeah, ponies, but
There's not a beige box in this place, which is awesome.
Yeah.
No hotel rooms here.
I want to see.
When I talk to people about ponies and the community, I talk about Equestria Daily is like our New York Times. It's highly curated. It is sensibly produced. Grammar is paid attention to, spelling when Seth's not doing it. And you get really good quality news out of them. Like, somebody's actually trying to produce a really great product. Alfie, the same exact thing. It's the NPR of our community.
I'm NPR.
Your NPR, it's all things pony, So anybody can have a website, anybody can have a blog, anybody can have a podcast, anybody can do this any day. You guys have been doing this for years and years now. What keeps it going? For you, Cal, first.
For me, it's technically just the community that keeps me going. I've met a lot of really wonderful people in the community through the things people send in. Just casually talking to people at conventions and such like that. The enthusiasm of the fandom itself really tends to rub off on a person if you're exposed to it a lot. And I have had my times where it has been really tough, especially when life itself has been stressful, and then it's like, it is a job in a way, and a hobby, working on a website and stuff like that, so stress compounds on stress. But for the most part, it is a really enjoyable experience because it makes people happy, and I like making people happy as best I can. I feel bad when I can't make someone happy and stuff like that, but I try to, point them in the right direction, or, try to get things worked out. And it's just a nice feeling at the end of the day that you hopefully did something good for people out there, not only the creators, but also for the people that get to view it. Because who knows, that day you introduced a piece of art from somebody that one of you out there might have never seen before, and then you follow an artist for the next 10 years because of it. Or someone who starts out really small, 2,000 page views, and you highlight them or something like that, and it gives them the motivation to go on where maybe they might have stopped or something like that, So I like to do it because I think it just makes people happy, and it improves on people. I don't know, it's just a really nice feeling.
Yeah. Same question. What has kept you doing a silly amount of work as a hobby for 2 years?
To my wife's chagrin.
Does she like ponies?
Yeah, she likes. We're a
helps.
family of bronies. Okay. So, if you saw us at BronyCon last year, we did the all four of us, me, my wife, my son, my daughter. I was Sombra, she was Chrysalis, my daughter was Nightmare Moon, and then my son was a changeling. So we had the whole evil family. So
we want pictures.
well, I'm sure they're me taking it out. Fun pictures. But when we started, like, because both me and Five Iron are both fathers and working full time and stuff like that, and the way we decided, we made an agreement to ourselves that we're going to do this until it's not fun. If it's not fun, or if it's a pain, or whatever, then we're going to stop. But luckily, that hasn't happened yet. And the way we did it, because we were both outside, we both didn't know anyone. We didn't know any people in the community or anything like that. And we said, we want to do something for people on the outside, because there seemed to be sort of a clique of people, like everyone on the inside sort of knew each other, and there's a whole joke of the Illuminati and things like that. And he's like, so like, we're going to do it for our own thing. We're going to be outsiders, and we're going to allow people from the outside in. So when we have a panel, we always say that if you want to be on the panel, just email us. And if you're over 18, because we do curse and talk about adult stuff, we're not Rule 34, but if conversation goes, we're adults, so we want to talk like adults, But if you want to be on the panel, just call us, and we'll put you on, if you can hold a conversation, And the idea is like to bring people who don't get a chance to speak or be known in the community to actually do so, and then actually, when we have someone on, actually have them stick around for our panels, so humanize them, So it's not like Calpain, he's not some unknown, like, vague person on the internet who, like, oh, they're behind an email, but someone we can talk to, and he's a person, and I'm a person, we're all people, and that's the basis of it. Some of us wish we were ponies, but, we're all just standard people, and that's what sort of kept us going. And we wanted to be, I always like that, sort of being like I'm a punk, and I want to be, like, sort of against the grain, and, like, rebel rousing, stuff like that. But at the same time, as it went on, it's like, I just want to be nice to people. We don't need to be mean to anyone, or we try and, like, be nice to everyone, and, like, drama happens, and there's people who you're not going to get along with, and that's life. But we don't want to, like, focus on that kind of stuff. So we have friends in pretty much every single, like, media outlet group, and just trying to be cool to everyone and not trying to be as negative. There's stuff we've gone, like, negative, and, like, we're going to cut that from the show. We had this one episode where we cut 40 minutes out of, just because stuff was being said, and as we listened to it, I was like, you know what, there's no need for that, it doesn't help anyone, and it's just really crappy of us to talk like that, so we cut the whole thing. And that's why I always tell people, like, when you're on the panel, if it didn't make it to the final show, it didn't happen. And that's also why we edit it, because we talk so free flow about everything and anything, that something's going to say something that they're going to regret, and we want them to be able to cut that out and stop that, and not, have that go against them for whatever reason, and I think that's one of the things about us too, is because no one has any regrets or qualms about coming on our show, because we're not going to be, gotcha media, or like try and talk in a corner or anything like that. Everyone has a chance to speak and say what you want, and that's kind of been the guiding force for us. So, what was the question?
I was really, I don't know. Sir Lancelot. Thank you, everyone. Curation's really, really important to both of you guys. It shows.
What's important?
Curation.
Yes.
Like, you throw stuff out that
Hi,
doesn't
people.
meet the. Oh, hi, everyone. Doesn't meet the criteria. What is it that flags something as we shouldn't go there, or my God, we found something and we should shine a spotlight on it?
Yeah.
Oh, that can be at times it's not a very black and white process. For some things it is. There's, like, of course, drama. Drama is never spotlit on the site as much as we can. We're not going to do it. I mean, sometimes we put something up that we didn't know would cause drama.
Mm-hmm.
And like all of, like, last summer with Equestria girls and all that was fun.
You know my OTP.
Oh geez, that was a roller coaster, but I don't know. I'd like to, when something pops up that gets our curiosity, we talk amongst each other about it, and we also tend to just research the person out and see how sincere they are about, like, a particular project or something like that. Like, I guess the most recent thing I can think of where I was kind of doing a little bit of research on a project that was going on was there was this, there's like different pony jewelry makers out there, Silver Slinger and such like that. And Silver Slinger does a great job. There's another artist that come out called, I think his name is Chaos Drop or something like that. And he was trying to get a Kickstarter, going to offer a bunch of really cool pony-themed pins for everybody and stuff like that. So, and I had heard some things about some practices he was doing and stuff like that, and I heard some of his concerns. And you do some research and you talk to him and you do things like that instead of just making like a decision whether just a snap decision that if there's anything suspicious about this, let's not do this. And it turned out to be pretty okay. And talked to Silver Slinger about the whole thing, and got it to Kickstarter and EQD, and now it's funded. And he should have pins out sometime soon. So it can be a sticky process, especially when we don't all agree with one another, as teams sometimes do. And it can get a little sticky, a little angry, a little frustrated. But it works out in the end. A lot of thought goes into some of the things that seem to have potential to be really super big. And we take a lot into consideration for those kind of things. Especially for things that ask for money, definitely, because those are always things you tiptoe around because you never know exactly what's going to happen with that. Like, some of you might know about that Dark Skies thing that happened a few months ago, and that we did the research on that, and that got completely axed from all reporting. So that's what we kind of do, is do our research, figure out what goes on there, and if it seems to be a big project, we put extra scrutiny on it.
Ever gone down a show and went, oh, what happened, and do it all over again, or throw it on the cutting room floor?
We lost a show once. God, it sucked. Not the people are like, this is a horrible guess. No, it's not like that. We had like major technical issues. I was by myself. I had everything set up, and I was like scrambling for panelists, and we got them all set up, and I started going. And then like midway through the panel, like everything just froze on me. I'm like, that's not good. And then the whole thing just shut down. And I was like, okay, maybe the show's good, but the show's audio from the very beginning was just all garbled and stuff, and I couldn't do it, we couldn't save it. And so I was so angry at myself and my computer and my internet connection and everything. So that's the only time that we've actually had to can a show. Luckily, because we usually have dual recorders going. I have my recorder going and 5-Iron his is going. So if one of us fails, we can mash it up if we have to between our two systems. So luckily we've been able to like safeguard ourselves that way. But as far as like what Calpain is saying about what we do and like what we put on, we try and like vet everything. If someone comes to us, we always like to vet them as far as wanting an interview to make sure they're not like a Dark Skies or something like that. And usually ask around or see if we can find details before we have them on. And as far as like what gets said, because we are uncensored, so we'll talk about pretty much anything. And I will say that 5-Iron is definitely my anchor or my good conscience, because he's, well, if you listen to the show, there's obviously a difference between us. He's the straight man and I'm me. So I have no qualms about saying or doing anything. And there's a couple times where like, we're going to talk about this week. And he's like, no, we're not. It's like, yeah, we got to talk about it. I'm like, no, we're not. And we've gone back and like battled over a couple of things. Like, this is something we can talk about. We're adults, we can talk about it. And he's like, no. There's only one thing where he went like super serious, and I won't talk about what it is, but and if there's like drama or something like that, what we decide to get into, and we don't like, it's hard with being like news, but also like an opinion show like we are, because if something happened, we can say that, but to give your opinion on it, that's a whole other thing, because then you can get into really putting your foot in your mouth, which I've done before. I said something horrible, and after the show was over, like everyone's like, why did you say that? And I was like, you know what, we're gonna cut that, because we can do that. And so it's just that idea of like, because we don't want to hurt anyone's feelings in the end, and we don't want to be rude or mean-spirited or be jerks for any sort of reason, intentionally, if like we do, we try and avoid that kind of stuff. So Trying to be nice guys.
We are a subculture. We have our own language and our own conventions, and we get together and dress up like ponies and do this
We have
sort
secret
of thing.
handshakes.
Secret handshakes. I want one too.
Our powers combined.
Yes.
There you go.
Okay. Go ahead.
There's a reporter from the Village Voice here tonight. There are
Hey,
TV
reporter.
stations. She's not
Is she
allowed
here?
in? Nope, not in the auditorium.
Say whatever we want then.
We can say whatever we want. You guys are an interface from our inside world and our spaghetti terms and our R34 things and our things that we like to talk about and the things we don't like to talk about. And what's it like, and what have your reactions been to some of the outside media looking in at us?
Do you want to go first?
Sure, I'll go first. At first, I was kind of worried about it. I was around when one of the first big articles came out about the pony culture, the Wired article way back when, and there was a lot of talk about that particular article when it came out, and everyone, of course, was nervous, because it's like the outside world's paying attention to us, so. At first, it was kind of scary, and you gotta admit, there was quite a bit of negativity at first. But then it seemed like as time went on and as it got more into the mainstream, I put in now more articles and hear about more articles of, at least neutral to actually positive articles on the culture itself and the fans and everything like that. And it could be that during that time, it could be because of a large amount of charity work that went on since that very first Wired article. I mean, we got the Brony Thank You Fund, and Bronies for Good, and the Humble Brony Bundle, and gads of all sorts of other, charities that are out there. The whole thing with Michael Moronis lately, that was a huge effort. And it spread goodwill, and I think mainstream is starting to pick up and show that things are good. And I actually look forward to news articles about the fandom and stuff like that. It gives people out there, a voice about something that they like, and share it with other people. And I think it's a good thing, and it'll keep it improving, especially with a Brony Tale now premiering all across the world.
Yeah. I'm up for the Brony Tale because we interviewed him, and Brent's a cool guy, and I actually look forward
Brent's
to that.
awesome.
Yeah. But for the most part, I don't care, and I'm so over it as far as what the outside world thinks of us. The hell?
Do you know what it is? It's Lady Aria's sound test for this evening.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
excellent.
She got some pipes, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does.
She does.
She's across the street, actually.
She could be, yeah.
Yeah, but no, thank you. I just I don't care. It's because every article is the same. What? Men who like ponies? Here's a big guy with pony ears, and we're gonna. Yeah.
True, they use the worst pictures possible. I
Yeah,
gotta
they
say.
really do.
Always.
It's and I'm like I don't care what you look like, who you are, and everything like that. And that's not the thing. But they always try and find just the unflattering pictures in weird situations, or trying to find the most spaghetti-filled person to talk to. Everyone remembers the whole Howard Stern thing from Bronycon a couple years ago, and it's I don't care. It's we're nerds. We've been nerds. Guess what? I like Star Wars and comic books and Deadpool, and it's just another thing that I like. It's another notch on my bedpost. It's I don't care. And because it's always the same. If someone gives me something different, which is why I like Brent's story, because it's different. It's not what? Men who like ponies, tune in at 9. Because that's the way everything else has been. And I'm done with that, and I get it. That story's over. But his is different because it's talking about from Ashley Ball, and it's a neat, different perspective, which I'm looking forward to. So for that, yes. Everything else, meh, I guess is. Rawr. Echo.
Echo.
Apple.
Stop it. I've only been part of the fandom since August 18th of last year. I am
Do you know the date?
Oh, well, it was the day my life turned Technicolor. It was like, like there was a day and there was a before and after in my life. I stumbled into something fully formed. I stumbled onto something that I could spend weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks just downloading and fully formed idea. I can tell you, having worked on the business end of a convention, that 3 years ago there was Brony's NYC, and it was actually just BronyCon, and there was 400 people that went to a meetup. Then there was 800 people, then there was 1,000, and now we're at almost 40 conventions across.
We're multiplying like parasprites.
We're multiplying like parasprites. Sometimes they're eating each other.
Yes.
Sometimes there is spaghetti. Like, let's see, I got all the post-drama of Las Pegasus.
Oh boy.
I've had to deal with talent. I've had to deal with.
No talent.
Sorry, I know. What do you, where's our community go? You guys have your finger on the pulse. Where are we going? What are we turning into? Do you have an idea? Are you just riding the wave? I'm giving you an easy out.
What do you think?
Well, it's kind of a question I thought about even back when I first kind of joined and stuff like that. Back in the early 2011 or so, or something like that, the big concern at the moment was whether or not we were going to get a second season and stuff like that. That was a time when we were actually worried that if we're going to get seasons. So when we got like an announcement that we were going to get a second season, though I guess my very first thought about the future of the community was that I wonder if it was going to be one of those things where it turned out to be there would be like half the fandom loved season 1 and half the fandom loved season 2. And thankfully that didn't happen because everyone loved season 2. But as things have been, but as time went on, our community has diversified even more since then, and I think, and I can like now name like groups of cliques of bronies that now exist. There's the Reddit bronies. I think there's still the Ponychan bronies. Derpy Brew grew out of the ashes of Pony Brew, and grew out of the ashes.
Grew out of the what?
Grew out of.
Out of the what?
Ashes.
Ashes. Okay, got it.
Of Pony Brew, and has now become this really huge community in of itself with streams and forums and all sorts of things like that. I think the community is very diverse and such like that. I mean, heck, we even now have our own board on 4chan after the whole that whole deal, and I think from here on out, I think people start to settle down more into which of these groups of places they like to hang out with. Do you want to be a commenter that hangs out with the commenters on EQD? Do you want to be someone that hangs out on the forums over on Derpy Brew? Do you want to hang out over in one of the subreddit on Reddit or something like that? I think that from going on out, people will be able to find more places to belong. It's more organized now than it has been. You're getting smaller cliques, but I think we have about the same number of people, if not still growing. It doesn't feel like the huge surge that we had that very first summer, way back when in 2011. But it might be more covered by the fact that there's so many places to go that the growth of all of them together can't be seen because they're all individual. Yeah. So I still think Pony's going strong, and it's going to go strong for the next couple years at the very least. And we'll be here to
talk about it and post it.
Talk about it, post about it, and sometimes facepalm about it. So
a lot of times facepalm about it.
So that's how I see things going.
So where's this little pony scooter driving?
Well, I get 3 ways you can answer it. Is one, ain't no party like a Pinkie Pie party because a Pinkie Pie party don't stop, right? Yeah. And 2, I think it's growing. New people find out every day, and people watch. We still hear about new people who are new fans of the show and everything. But I think we've sort of have hit an equilibrium where we have the subgroups and everything, and you have the thing that you're into. If you're all on Twitter, if you're all on Tumblr, if you're all on 4chan or stuff like that. And I think we sort of like last year, it was like the breaking point where we had like cons crashing, a lot of drama and stuff like that. Last year was a year of flux and drama and weirdness.
Yeah, it really was.
And I think this year it's sort of, like I said, stabilized. We hit that peak, and then we've sort of like evened out now to I think where we're not as ravenous because I think we've all sort of found our place too. And as far as how long it's going to go for, that's one question I always ask, like, how long? What if the show gets canceled? Blah, 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 blah. It's like, and? It's, do you like the show? Everyone here likes the show, right? Okay, then, so keep liking it. There's nothing says you have to stop when the final season, whenever it airs, and they say, okay, no more Pony. Then we have free reign to do whatever we want with it. Then it's the era of the fan-made videos and stuff where we don't have to worry about Hasbro, and we don't have to worry about like fanon versus canon. I think we're going to see like an explosion when the show ends. That's when we're really going to get our legs. Like if you look at Star Wars, I mean, even though it's back, but like after the first 3 movies, it has just grown and grown and grown and grown and gone crazy until the fact that they brought it back. And so I think you're going to see something like that, where that's where the true creativity, when we don't have a source of inspiration anymore from the show, that's where we're going to rely on ourselves, and the creativity and stuff is really going to come from. So in one way, you can sort of look forward to the end, because that's where we're going to see a lot of cool stuff coming out. But in the meantime, enjoy the show, and if you enjoy the show, and if you enjoy all this stuff, then keep doing it. Who says you have to stop?
I agree.
Right?
I agree with that.
Thank you.
You totally stepped on my next question, but I'll ask it anyway.
If I had a mic that drop it swings.
We are dependent on this toy company in Rhode Island.
Is that Rhode Island?
Yeah. I know from having worked with Karen and her bringing over this giant bag of G1 ponies and going, we have to clean these up for the con. And then I started cleaning and brushing their little hair and brush. Well, they're just old. They're 30 years old. So I started having all these ponies, and she'd tell me the story, and this one's named this. And then all of a sudden, there's all these ponies in my house for months and months preparing for the con. So now I'm a G1 collector. Which that comes with this whole story of how Hasbro has had this love-hate, listen to, ignore. I mean,
We've talked
G3.5, the G3.5, even the old pony collectors hate G3.5. And they do something like they produce season 4, which was written for us. Little girls are way down on the list when it comes to that show.
You think?
Yeah. No, I think it was all fan service. Maybe that's opinion. But then they go and they produce this absolutely perfect Scootaloo. She's perfect. And then they put black marks all over her just to do... What do you think that relationship between Hasbro and our fandom... Do you have an opinion on where it's going to go? Do you
I do.
care?
Do you?
I think...
Pointing to you because I know I'm going to run on forever. So.
Well, thank you, Ben. I appreciate that. I don't know. I don't really deal with a lot of people over at Hasbro and stuff like that, so I don't really get too much of their side of the story and things like that. I mean, I do understand that there are complications simply because they are a massive company, and each division is somewhat, kind of separate at times. So while marketing's doing one thing, legal can be, doing another thing. While the other divisions are okay with it, legal isn't for some reason, or marketing's doing something and the other ones are okay with it. And you end up with all this confusion and such like that. Sometimes it looks like, Hasbro can be stumbling around stuff, but that's might be just a whole communication mishmash between things. Because we've had, support from certain Hasbro executives like the very, very nice and generous and awesome Mike Vogel, the VP of...
MPT, right?
Yeah, MK2 on Toon on Twitter, who's like the VP of Hasbro Studios. He helped look into the Jan Animations thing and is helping him get that stuff back up again. So it's a very it can be a tense relationship, but they're nice people and stuff like that. I mean, we got to remember that it's Hasbro, the hub, and all those guys. They gave us the original Equestria Girls commercial when that came out way back in the day and stuff like that. And they seem to like dealing with us, but there are just rules and stuff that corporations have to follow and stuff like that. And I don't know. I think they've allowed us to grow a lot, but I can't say one way or another how the future is going to hold with this. I think there's encouraging signs for things like Mike Vogel, but there has still been the recent C&Ds that we've been seeing and stuff like that. So right now it's kind of in a middle ground, at least from my perspective.
Yeah, because that's one thing. It's like Hasbro seems schizophrenic. And if there's anyone from Hasbro, hi. But it's because there's so many different people from so many different departments doing so many different things. So you seem like, I thought Hasbro was cool with this, and they're not cool with this. Well, it's because that was someone else here, and this was someone else here. And in the end, their point is to make money off selling toys. So they're going to do whatever they can to do that. So they're fine with licensing their stuff out to places like Interplay and all the other, like Wheel of Fine and stuff like that, just because it gets the money. And so, yeah, we're fans. Cool, that's great that you're a fan. Do you have any money? That's what it all comes down to at the end. It's like, can I have your money and how can I get it? And that's their bottom line. And that's what they're in it for, because they are a company. So, and so if it means like putting like Derpy on a lunchbox is going to get someone to buy it, and they're going to put Lurpy on a lunchbox.
Lumpy on a lunchbox.
Yeah.
Lurpy, that's a good name.
Class enough
I
for
like
convention.
Lurpy.
She's my new OC. But yeah, so that's why Hasbro seems so weird, and like I don't think they care about us, or they don't think this is for us. I mean, they brought Laura on so she could do a show, and Laura wanted to do a show that everyone could enjoy, and she definitely did that. So, and Hasbro's like, okay, so we have these new fans. Do they have any money? And that's what it always comes back to. So if you're ever wondering, why did Hasbro do that? It's all about the Benjamins. Holla, holla. There you go, Billy, go.
I mean,
ask questions, or?
You can tell that I've worked in media my whole life, so that's where the directions of these kind of questions have been coming from. But let's talk about some ponies. What's season 5 going to be like?
Insane.
Season 5. I gotta say, season 4 ended on a very high note, and hearing from other people, there's a lot of enthusiasm in the fandom. So I'm really hoping that season 5 does, meet up to the now high bar that they set themselves. I don't know, now that Twilight does have her own, castle now and stuff like that.
Oh! Treehouse had its time. It had a pretty good run.
Save Tree.
Save the trees.
But I'm hoping that now that she seems to have taken on this Princess of Friendship thing. Maybe it'll be more about her and her friends now that they're all like advisors and stuff like that. Kind of like maybe sharing experiences to to others. Teaching more instead of learning. And also, maybe hopefully set up more of an opportunity to visit other lands and stuff like that, like in princessly duties or something like that. Because, I mean, wouldn't it be amazing to see, like, Zikora's homeland or something like that? I mean, yeah, stuff like that. Or learn more about, like, dragon. Well, we already had a little bit more about dragonkind and stuff like that. But what about griffins? Where do they come from? Stuff like that. Like, is there big old
Sea
ponies?
ponies.
Yes, sea ponies. Sea ponies, definitely.
We keep saying that, and they're going to do it, guys.
And it's going to be the breezies.
But yeah, I'm positive we'll have a pretty decent season 5. It's gonna be from what sounds like another 26 episodes, and the team was really seems to be really encouraged by all of you guys giving them thumbs up for season 4 and stuff like that. And I've heard from a few friends of mine that are on the team that they were relatively burned out and stuff, especially after all the drama from season 3 and stuff like that, and Equestria Girls and whatnot, and they were feeling a little.
If you're going to leave comments for the creators, make it positive ones.
Or at least constructive ones. Constructive criticism is okay. It's just, if you're like mailing them like threats against their dog or whatever, it's gonna not go over very well. So, but they're really enthusiastic again, I think, and it's gonna be a really good season. I think they'll put all of their time and effort and into this, and maybe we'll get some more new writers too. Those guys have been knocking it out of the park.
Josh is awesome.
Yeah, Josh is pretty awesome.
Season 5.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. I like what he said. I want more world building. I want more stuff. I'd love to see more of the history, because that's where all the cool stuff is. And even if it like blows up some people's headcanon, that's half the fun too. Like, no, your giant fanfic is wrong. But like, I think the thing I really want to see is I want to see Celestia and Luna's parents. Like, who's the king and queen?
Celestia and Luna episode, definitely. I really want one of those. I really want something centered on them for once.
Yeah, I want, or just another full Luna episode. That'd be good too.
But poor Celestia.
She's had a run. It's like
they always beat her up though.
She could.
Yeah, no, Celestia and Luna episode, and Griffin episode, and Sakura episodes. Yes.
Well, you can take
yes.
questions for the audience.
Actually, no, because I didn't take the stick mic. I should have taken the stick mic, and we have only just a few minutes left.
Oh, okay.
And
really?
unless somebody wants to
Does
raise
anyone
a
wanna
hand
yell
out
someone
there.
down? We can't see your hand.
Thank you. I see you, sir. Welcome.
Oh,
You mean Discord / Celestia?
dyslexia.
Dyslexia.
No, dyslexia. I think it's a cute kind of ship. Discord's always like a funny partner to pair up with anybody because he's insane. So, I really don't read a lot of that kind of stuff, but it's usually really funny pictures and stuff like that. It's usually Fluttershy, Celestia, Pinkie Pie, because Pinkie Pie loves Chocolate Rain. But I don't know. I guess it could kind of work because they've known each other for so long. It has such a nice.
They have the tension there.
Yeah, the tension. Yeah, I mean, you can't have a good love story without some drama in it, right? So.
I like the comic idea of like her like going with the mirror Sombra and stuff. But, like,
Oh yeah.
I think she definitely has a thing for the bad boys. It's gotta.
There you go. There. See, it's like a little bit of canon. A little bit canon.
This guy got. What's up?
Yeah. What's up?
You told me earlier that you're going to be a teacher in the future. What will you do if, like, when your classmates are, like, a Brony teacher and they come on PQDs for PQDs, you do it. In class one day they see you, it's like, oh my god, you're Calpain from PQD.
Oh gosh, I had always thought about that. I had while I was still like in my PhD program before I quit that and decided I wanted to do teaching instead. I always wondered if any of the students that I did teach actually watched the show, and I hadn't ran into anybody yet, but it's probably more likely at a lower level. So we'll see how that goes if Ponies is still going by the time I get a teaching job. I still remember the one time though we were downstairs in the basement of one of the buildings using the confocal microscope to do some slides and whatnot, and the female partner I had, she said we should really spruce this microscope up with some pony stickers, and I said that's a great idea. I didn't tell her I was into ponies or anything like that, but it was the closest time I've ever ran into somebody that was into one.
Yeah. Guy in the back, red shirt.
When it comes to doing Equestria Daily, one thing I love about the website is that you guys are always like doing new ideas or trying new things. Is that like just recently you just started the nightly discussion?
Oh yeah, the nightly discussion.
Something that just like a couple weeks ago you just started that. Is that like a process where you guys like sit down and think like what can we do new, or is that just?
It's an evolution of things. It started back. This was my thought. It was actually kind of something I just spearheaded myself because as I said, I usually read the comments on, I usually read the comments on EQD, especially on posts I make, because I like to look at comments to see if I screwed up anything in it. You know, like, Calpain, you didn't link this comment correctly, you know, that kind of stuff. So I go into comments and read things. And one of the things I noticed as time was going on is that since we had this community of people developing around our site, they were starting to use the comment section as like a chat area, and a lot of comments would start going into huge chains that were completely unrelated to the post at hand, and that can be disruptive to the people that actually want to talk about the post. And also things like the creators for those things that are actually, you know, what that post is about, could be irritated that they're not getting any feedback down there. So what evolved from that is that I decided to ban off topic in all posts except for the nightly roundup, because it was like, oh, it's the end of the day, everyone can talk down there. And then, so nightly roundups ended up being the place to be for off-topic discussion. People were following that really, really nicely. Comments on those exploded into like 500, 600 comments every night. And then someone just suggested it was a good idea that there are people that do want to look at the nightly roundup and, you know, just comment on the stuff in it. And I especially noticed that after some people started doing things like just copying and pasting and all sorts of stuff like that in the nightly roundup comments and whatnot. And I was like, I'll just give them their own post, because, you know, people like to talk at the end of the day, and it's a nice place where everyone can just unwind. And then you'll have the roundup after that for people that just want to comment about the roundup. So that's kind of like the natural evolution of things there. And for thinking about ideas, it'd be really weird. Back when I was in my PhD program, I actually came up with a lot of my ideas when I was just sitting outside thinking. That's it.
Well, guys, that's all the time we have for today. Up next is Panic at the Discord. So we got some fabulous DJs, and you can tell I got prepared already. I ditched that suit already, and my God, it's been such a pleasure to meet both of you guys in person, and Calpain and Alpha Brony, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Hello.
Salute my mic. Okay.
So in here, we're gonna have some pony vids and stuff that isn't loud music. So, but I'd go out and hear Lady Aria and her new track.
Wait, isn't that going to be in here?
That's gonna be in there.
Oh, it's going to be in there. Oh.
Yeah. No, this is the chill room.
Oh, okay.
So
So the panic's out there.
the panic is out there.
Okay. And the chill's in here.
Yeah, no, there's dancing in between the seats gets really, you bash your knees really quick.
Yeah.
That is
So,
very true.
all right, guys, thank you very much.
If any of you guys would like to talk, I'm available after this panel, and I'd be happy to meet you guys out in the lobby if any guys have any questions that didn't get answered. So
Yeah, we'll be around, you know.
thanks for joining.